Cool, thanks. I was thinking a sweet, black, beautiful little movie, and it made me think of Bill Forsyth's Bad Lieutenant. That sort of combination of that sort of local hero notion, and yet the cop who you're loving, but you know he's got some moral issues at times. And I don't know, for you, were there reference points with making the film that you thought, well, these are films that we're thinking of, these are references that we're thinking of, or did it all just come from the script?
No, I mean there were obviously there are apocryphal stories about guards, and everybody has them, and you come across them all the time. I thought of one this morning, much after thinking of another one, where I think this didn't happen to me now, but there was a fella driving at 100 miles an hour down by Cork Airport, and along the parallel thing. It wasn't the guy in the underpants now yesterday, but it was like,
welcome to Ireland.
I know, yeah, I know. But like apparently he was stopped, and there was a guard halfway down there, and very slowly he rolled down the window, or I think at the time probably did roll down the window, and the guard very, very, very slowly, taking a measurable sort of time, strolled over to him and asked him, "Are you having trouble taking off?" Now, you'd kind of think if you were stuck out on a road looking for speeding things like that, you would have a fair amount of time to think that one up. But the delivery, and just, it's devastating. So, like, the stories, it's just, they're the kind of things. There's the kind of things you gotta love.
We'll have to edit that into the film. You could just have a cutaway where I just hear your voice say that. But I actually, just very briefly, I always think, with Father Ted, that if Father Ted probably wouldn't have the same impact now because of the way the idea of a priest has shifted from 20 years ago. There's a little bit of menace in them now. I don't know whether with I was thinking about the guards, the way their image naturally goes up and down, and they've had a little bit of roughness lately, and either through protests or through the when you think about the pipe situation and this tape that was revealed of a dreadful kind of talk when they've arrested two women, and that the way our perception of a character can almost be affected by reality, that
yes,
little things kind of come into it. Did you feel that you'd any kind of responsibility or any kind of need to think about, well, this is the guards, these are our upholders of the law, I should really have a little respect? Or
you have to be guided by the truth of the situation, okay? That's as simple as that, or you're on a loser. If you go on a moral crusade, you're in trouble if you don't adhere, first of all, to the rules of engagement, which are that the character is real. That's it. The truth of the situation could be heightened, but it comes from a position of properly based reality within the character. Like, for example, myself and Don Cheadle and John McDonagh met in LA for a day. We just all happened to be doing kind of different things, and we were able to organise it so that we came just before we started shooting, because we didn't think Don's schedule would be fairly heavy and all the rest of it. So we didn't get to rehearse like we would have, say, within Bruges. And one of the things we did, we got on great. It was all working. We were kind of chatting about the fella, and suddenly, you feel all this extra stuff coming at you and all that. It was great, but I was kind of saying, oh, it's a pity we didn't really get more time to rehearse. And Don felt, I don't know, I don't want to overthink this, these. And I kind of remember thinking at the time, no, these are not gags that you have to think of on the time. They have to be spontaneous and all the rest. But there has to be spontaneity about them. You have to be in that place. But ultimately, the fun in this thing is because the characters are really rooted, And say, for example, one of my favourite kind of moments in when Don, I was trying to describe yesterday, we were talking, doing various interviews about what Don brought to it, and people are calling him a straight man and all that. It's not enough. It's not right. There's a line where Jerry Boyle says to everybody, he said, and they're just about starting to get on okay, and he says, so tell us now, yeah, did you grow up in the projects? The assumption that and Don did this thing where he was kind of, we're eating breakfast, and he just did this thing. What? And it's like, you could feel, how many times has somebody said something equally crass to him? It wasn't a question of, what are you saying? An immediate outrage. It was like, oh, for God's sake, we have to go, here we go again. Okay? I have to explain myself. I actually grew up, I went skiing in Aspen and all that. So and then that continues to kind of and then Boyle starts pretending that he's revealing his pomposity and all that. It's like, so there's a kind of a dart that goes back and forth. That the lines are phenomenal, and to be able to get them is great. But it's it's the reality of the situation that does it. How do we get onto all that? But that's that. Oh yeah, about crusading for guards or not for guards. I was kind of saying, now this could happen where I might be getting a lot of traffic tickets, or it could happen where I don't know. And I did honestly feel, well, hang on now, is this is this is I is it fair to say to talk about the corruption, say like the corruption that is kind of assumed in it? And I did think about it, but I think they had a screening for guards. I heard yesterday, and the guards did not identify with the Stanton character. They identified with Jerry Boyle, and they laughed their faces off. They know there's a certain pushing of reality there. So I kind of feel it is a worry up to a point, but in the end you have to go with the truth of the situation and the dramatic possibilities.
I was thinking too, you mentioned Don Cheadle, and he plays the FBI agent Wendell, and he can't quite get a take on Jerry Boyle. He doesn't know whether he's been incredibly smart or incredibly stupid, and I know from watching the movie too, there's lots of kind of conflicting evidence. Like there's a Daniel O'Donnell poster on the wall, but he's listening to Chet Baker. So you're thinking, is he doing this to sort of take the piss out of Daniel as an individual?
Oh no.
But that would be the getting a grip of a guy who can listen to Chet Baker and love Daniel O'Donnell. Yeah. That's quite a nice sort of range of musical taste. Was he easy to get kind of to feel, well, I know this guy, or I am this guy, or because you've got to throw out to the audience and to Don Cheadle's character conflicting little bits of information that
the actual Daniel O'Donnell poster, we had discussions about that, and it's rooted in something that's very interesting, but I don't think I'm going to give it away. Oh. Because actually that was a specific question I was trying to had with John, and I did get an answer. It took a while, but we traced back where it came from, and it wasn't random, and it wasn't just in any way being just easy or have anything like that. It was made total sense, but I think I'd be better off leaving it. I honestly do.
We should mention the reception has been spectacular. I know Sundance and various screenings, the critics over in America have gone incredibly high on it. And you even get someone like Todd McCarthy, he called your performance protean, Protean. Yeah. Do you know what that means?
I did. I think I remember one said protein. Yeah.
Diversity, have a great diversity. Were you, I don't know whether that's always just a great relief when you know that people get it, or did you sort of feel it in your bones that this one is
No,
special?
I knew it worked as a film. That, as I was chatting to you earlier about it, the editing process was quite torturous because it's so delicate in the way that it sits, and how the pace is crucial and everything. So when we got the final edit out, I said, it was such a relief. I knew. However, I was nervous in America because all the cultural references, they're very impatient with trying to work their way through. The accents are quite strong and of necessity because the sense of place is very real. And all that stuff, I was nervous, and I wanted John to be able to make more films. That was the reason I was nervous more than anything else. You always want the film to work. But basically what happened was that Don took them by the hand and led them through the movie, because once they saw him, now they did laugh before he arrived, and they were getting it. But once he arrived, he was such a reassuring presence, because they were he was kind of saying, did that guy actually say that? Did I hear that properly, or is this a brogue or something that I don't understand? And Don's reactions, therefore, were their reactions. And in a way, he led them through. It was beautiful, and they were able to relax. So it's so great, when you get access to people who you're kind of worried you're not going to be able to get access to. And they really did love it. They really did.
I should have known my time is limited. Just the idea that you're now sort of part of an acting dynasty. I love the fact that both Donald and Rory are doing incredibly well, and they've had sort of a great response to their work. I don't know whether, given that
Rory is doing well, but Brian's actually in this profession.
Right.
Yeah. So
I'm thinking of Fergus and Rory, and
I know. Yeah.
My mind just snapped between.
That's all right. No.
Who's doing what now?
That one I get. I know that one.
But that feeling of you yourself waiting till you were 34, you'd always worry that you'd kill the thing you loved by sort of joining this profession. There might be backstabbers and all that. I guess they must have recognised that you were having a good time at it, and it would be a nice profession to be into. Or did they fight it too? Did they feel it is a very kind of difficult way to make a living sometimes?
Brian didn't. But it was an odd thing with Brian. I knew from the very beginning. I knew from the very, very beginning that with Brian that he goes into places in his head, he's utterly gone there. There's something in his nature that's such an instinctive actor that once he's buried in it. So it was kind of odd. He with him, it was almost, we made the effort to give options and everything, and we tried, made sure not that there were no assumptions made, but I mean, it was just like the water coming down a hill. It was like, you know, it just wasn't. With Donal, Donal was looking around a little bit. I think he wanted to be, he's very interesting on the other side of the camera. You know, he's written a couple of shorts and stuff like that and directed them, and he's very good eye and all the rest of it. So he went in and he had a slightly different route. I don't really think, I mean, they saw me very kind of angry and frustrated a lot of the time too. And they saw the price of not being able to, you know, be sure you can just walk down the street without somebody roaring at you, and they saw us, you not being able to browse in shops without, you know, all this stuff, and the frustration of having, you know, stuff that maybe is misinterpreted or all that stuff. Like, it's not an easy profession, it's not. And there's great joy if it is what you should be doing. I have wonderful, joyful sort of, I embrace what I do with such a passion at the moment. I know how lucky it is to be working at something good. But it is like teaching. If you're teaching a class and you should not be a teacher, it is hell. It is hell. And you won't get away with it. You know, they'll eat you alive. And unless you are happy within this, in other words, unless it's for you, you shouldn't be there. So there was no question of them seeing that, oh, God, this is going great. You know, it's all that fame and all that stuff was very clear to them was rubbish, you know, as something to strive for. So they went into it because the work was what brought them. So from that point of view, once that was what it was, it's clear that, you know, you follow it then, but they understand the price of it and how it's utterly unfair, for example. You know, like utterly unfair.
I should just check. I'm not sure if my time is all right. I don't want to kill anybody else's time. One more. I love the fact that you have had such a wonderful career, and there's some, you know, beautiful films in there that I'm sure you'll always cherish. But that turning point when you made Braveheart and you had this opportunity to go to LA, and I remember that you went to agents there and they just gave you a hard time. I think that I read that the first one just sort of said no, like you're too old, you're not handsome enough, and all those little things. And I don't know if there's a part of you would love to go and meet that guy again, or
I saw him in a lift.
Oh, did you?
At the Emmys.
And would you have said something to him? Did you feel you needed to say anything?
You know, for once I found my mother's dignity.
Right.
It was the kind of thing where I fantasize if ever I see that guy. Because I remember coming out and then I say, I'll see you at the Oscars. Of course, I said it in my own head and drove home with my teeth, as they say. Because, you know, so you always think of the things to say on the way home. And I even got mixed up now what it is. Like, was it fat, ugly, old? I can't remember, but that was the gist of it. But I actually also felt quite relieved that what was happening in terms of, well, we let you know and not being let know. I actually thought, well, okay, gave it straight. But I did say, okay, one of these days. And next thing, I'm going in the lift, I swear to God. And I rediscovered my mother's dignity. I actually said, it's enough to be here, to myself. And I said, am I going to regret now not actually doing it? And I looked at him and I knew he knew.
There'll be plenty more opportunities if you feel like.
No, I didn't. I don't need to say anything. I knew he knew.
Yeah.
So I know also that he would say, it doesn't bother me, but that's okay. I know. It was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I loved it.
Rock and roll. I better go.